Alright, let's dive into something that's been making waves, or maybe just ripples, in the comedy world, Super Troopers 3. Now, before we even get started, I have to ask, who's still asking for these movies? I mean, it's been 25 years since the first one, and honestly, I'd almost forgotten this franchise existed. But here we are, with the Broken Lizard crew back at it again. And let me tell you, if you weren't a fan before, this one isn't going to change your mind. What makes this really interesting is the sheer persistence of this group. I mean, they're clearly doing this for their core audience, the diehards who still laugh at dick jokes and ethnic humor. Personally, I think there's something almost admirable about that commitment, even if the humor itself feels stuck in the early 2000s. But let's be real, this isn't a movie trying to win over new fans. It's a love letter to the people who've been there since the beginning. One thing that immediately stands out is the cast. The gang's all here: Tawny, Fava, Mac, Rabbit, Foster, older, but definitely not wiser. And yes, the mustaches are still intact, which is either a testament to their dedication or a sign that they've run out of new ideas. What many people don't realize is how much of a time capsule these movies are. They're like a relic from a bygone era of comedy, where shock value was the name of the game. But in 2023, does that still work? I'm not so sure. Now, let's talk about Brian Cox. Here's a guy who's fresh off his iconic role in Succession, and yet he's back as Captain O'Hagan. Personally, I think this is either a massive misstep or a genius move. I can't decide. On one hand, it feels like a step backward. On the other, there's something almost charming about seeing him slip back into this role. When he mutters, "It's fun down here in the peanut gallery," you can't help but laugh. It's like he's in on the joke, and that's kind of refreshing. The plot. Well, it's as flimsy as you'd expect. Fava falls in love with Tawny's sister, Sarita, after rescuing her from a burning car. Yes, you read that right. And Tawny, naturally, is horrified. What this really suggests is that the movie is less about the story and more about the chaos that ensues. There's a wedding, some maple syrup-based drug schemes, and a whole lot of cringeworthy humor. But here's the thing, some of it actually lands. Not a lot, mind you, but enough to remind you why these guys have a following. A detail I find fascinating is how the movie leans into its own absurdity. I mean, we've got a wedding shootout, a trooper encased in syrup, and someone sticking their hand up an elephant's rear end. If you take a step back and think about it, this is peak Broken Lizard. It's not high art, but it's unapologetically itself. And in a world where everything feels so polished, there's something almost endearing about that. But here's where I have to be honest, by the end, you're exhausted. Not from laughing, but from the sheer effort of trying to find the humor. The outtakes and Brian Cox's cameo save the day, but it's a close call. This raises a deeper question: is this kind of comedy still relevant? Or are we just nostalgic for a time when it was? From my perspective, Super Troopers 3 is a movie that knows exactly what it is, and isn't trying to be anything more. It's not going to win any awards, but it doesn't care. And maybe, just maybe, that's its greatest strength. So, if you're a fan, you'll probably love it. If not, well, you've been warned. But either way, it's a fascinating look at a comedy troupe that's still doing their thing, 25 years later. What do you think? Is there still a place for this kind of humor, or is it time to move on? Let me know in the comments.